Right then, welcome to my review of Predator, 1987's cult classic. I guess we can kind of say it's a cult classic by now anyway. This is a film which I absolutely love. It is one of my favourites. I've never reviewed it on the channel. I have done a podcast with AVP Galaxy in the past, which was kind of a retrospective review, and I have spoken about it at length here and there, but I've never done a dedicated review. And because we are getting Shane Black's The Predator releasing this year, I thought what better time to do an actual review, a dedicated review of a film which is one of my personal favourites. It's what introduced me to Arnold Schwarzenegger as an actor. It's also what introduced me to bodybuilding as a concept, as you know, I do a little bit of weights here and there, so it's a film which holds a special place in my heart. And I would also like to put across that I still think that it is modern day great. Even if you look at it in comparison to modern day standards, it is a modern day great film. And it holds up. It absolutely holds up. So, how did this film come around? Well, basically Rocky IV came out, and there was a running joke circulating through Hollywood that who is Rocky going to fight next? E.T., an alien. Who's he going to fight next? And John and Jim Thomas, the screenwriters, basically took this as inspiration, this whole joke, as inspiration behind making and writing and constructing the film that would become Predator. So it's interesting to think how this awesome film, which is so highly regarded, basically came from a joke. And we have Rocky Balboa, we have Sly Stallone to thank for that, and basically the efforts that he did making those cheesy films, which are good. I will say that they are good, but they are cheesy, and because of that, the joke created something which is still epic to this day. Of course, it's directed by John McTiernan. It features Arnold Schwarzenegger, Jesse Ventura, Sonny Landham, Shane Black, among others. Now, on set, there was a lot of interesting kind of trivia behind the film. You have Sonny Landham, who is in Hollywood is a world-renowned, or was anyway, sadly, rest in peace, was renowned for being very aggressive. So they are on set, they're in the jungle, and Sonny Landham has to have a bodyguard, amazingly. Not to protect him, to protect other people from him. Incredible. How in this world did this film get made? It's an incredible thing to think about, and I also, when we're discussing the film, I think it's important to note these things because obviously it does come under how this film got constructed on a whole. So what is the story? Well, I'm going to talk about spoilers, obviously, because it's been out for so bloody long, 1987 for goodness sake. What is the story? We open on a pan shot of Earth, Predator ship and a dropship lands, or gets shot off from the main ship. We don't know what it is as yet, obviously. We can assume it's an alien. And then we get flung into the jungle. Special forces come in, Dutch, Arnold Schwarzenegger, come in with his men, and they're on the lookout for some delegates that went missing, basically, in the jungle. So that is the story in a nutshell. They go hunting for these people, things run astray, there's a little bit of a deception going on. It's nothing major, it's still an interesting point to the story, and then we go into a sci-fi adventure with the Predator killing people. It's a really great story, and if no one has seen it, or there's people that you know that haven't seen it, if you show them this movie, but you show them with the intro cropped out, so the Predator part, or the Predator ship part cropped out, and then you to show them the movie, on a whole, it goes from army action thriller, basically army action thriller, you know, macho men, to a point where it then just takes a sudden shift and dynamic into a creature feature. And I really think they missed a trick with that. Obviously, the intro part is important, but if you remove that, then you've got a much more thrilling movie, which has a much deeper twist and really shifts that genre at a quick pace. So if you know anyone that hasn't seen the film, please show them the film, but crop that first bit out, because I think they would really, really love it. And that's where the beauty of this film lies, is in its simplicity. You go from a gritty macho man film, basically, is what it is. It's hyper masculine. And a lot of people say that that was John McTiernan's point behind the film, but he didn't write it. Okay, it was written by John and Jim Thomas, and yes, it is to kind of poke fun at masculinity in some regards, but it is a masculine film, you know, to serve a purpose. But a lot of people say it was John McTiernan's point behind it. He really wanted to poke fun at masculinity and subvert people's expectations that no matter how big and strong these people were, they were being picked off one by this extraterrestrial beast. But of course, it's important to note that the director did not write the film. So as much as people like to, you know, acknowledge John McTiernan as being the brainchild of that, he absolutely wasn't. He did direct it in that fashion, and it's great to acknowledge that, but he didn't write it in that fashion. We have John and Jim Thomas to thank for that. But on that note, yes, it absolutely does. We go from this hyper-masculine kind of subversion. We even get that amazing, you know, arm wrestle in mid-air. How much cheesy and masculine can you get than that? It's awesome. And of course, you put that in a modern day film, it would be B-movie at best. It would be absolute cheese. It would be cheddar. It would be Stilton, for goodness sake. But it holds up in how that movie was made and just constructed and put together and presented for the time. And as well, it's really great to acknowledge that they were quite literally trawling through the jungle. They were, you know, crawling through the floor. It was an absolutely grueling shoot. If you look into the background of this shoot and how this film was made, it was incredibly grueling. But everyone had fun. Everyone had fun on set. There's even trivia with regards to Jesse Ventura and the wardrobe department making a pact and a joke that Jesse Ventura's arms were bigger than Arnold and the winner would win champagne, they'd buy the other one champagne. Of course, it was all a bit of a prank on Jesse Ventura because Arnold's arms were bigger, so on and so forth. So as much as it was a grueling shoot, they all had fun, and that's really important. And you can see it when you watch the film. They all had so much fun making this film. But it wouldn't be a Predator review if we don't talk about the actual creature, the Predator. Now, this is one of the most important things of this film, and why it is so good is that Stan Winston nailed that design. And it wasn't always that way. If you look into it, there was an original design with Jean-Claude Van Damme, and it was horrendous. It looked like a cockroach blended with a cat dog plus Anubis, an Egyptian god. It was absolutely atrocious. It looked awful. You know, there's reports of Jean-Claude Van Damme on set being so angry and grumpy because he thought he was going to be a breakout star, but obviously no one could see his face, so he was kicking up a fuss. And then obviously Arnold Schwarzenegger looked at this guy and thought, there's nothing remotely imposing here at all. He's not tall enough, he's not big enough, it looks dumb, and that whole creature got scrapped, but at quite short notice. And then Stan Winston was brought on to design the new creature. And there was a lot of designs in the works for, what would ultimately become the Predator. And believe it or not, love him or hate him, James Cameron was basically the deciding factor on giving this creature mandibles. The kind of very iconic opening structure, the mandibles that the Predator has. And it was actually James Cameron's idea. You can look this up. I'm not bullshitting you. It was his idea. And then we get this iconic beast on the screen. Of course, played by the incredibly massive Kevin Peter Hall. Again, rest in peace. And just the design work on the Predator and how it was made and how everything was just put together in such a proportionate manner made this creature really what it was, but then also just made it so iconic, and it does stand up today. If you watch this film, if you get a good copy of it and you watch this film today, it absolutely holds up. The creature still looks great, and it looks like a physical match to Arnold Schwarzenegger. And again, there's some very funny kind of anecdotes from behind the scenes. Kevin Peter Hall couldn't really see, so in the final fight, he does actually hit Arnold Schwarzenegger, believe it or not. There is a fight where he actually hits him. There's a moment where a punch kind of connects. If you were to compare the Predator from that film to the modern day ADI, the studio ADI creature designs that they've done, there's a big difference. There's a very, very big difference from the head structure to the overall body mass and how the creature looks in proportion to itself. There's a big change there. And Stan Winston absolutely nailed it. They are the best, or he was the best, for very good reason. And that's really what made this film so good. There's improv lines from Arnold Schwarzenegger, throw in the machete, stick around. It's a famous improv line, through to the very cheesy things of, you know, this stuff will make you a goddamn sexual Tyrannosaurus. And just the kind of cheesy one-liners, it works, it holds up, and it's got great music. That opening scene of the helicopter, you know, running through the forest, so good. Like, you cannot watch that opening shot now and not, you know, smile to yourself at how good that is. It's a really, really great scene. If you were to pick out just individual scenes, you can pick this film apart, and it's just standout scene after standout scene after standout scene. And like I said, of course, you can comment on the subversion and the poking fun of masculinity, at how, you know, ultimately, as high-tech as they are and as powerful as they are, it takes a man to man or man to alien beast to kill one another, and ultimately it was kind of dumb luck that Arnold Schwarzenegger won the fight in the end. And of course, we have to comment on the fact that this then spawned a huge extended media, absolutely massive. If you're not aware and you like Predator and the kind of lore behind it, go and look at the comics. Dark Horse have created some absolutely amazing comics. So to kind of break it down and to note, the pacing of this film is solid. There's a little bit of a dip here and there as we go from army film to kind of sci-fi thriller. There's a little bit of a dip in pace, but it's needed, because to kind of shift genres so quick like that, it wouldn't work. The music is astounding. Silvestri did such a good job on the score for this film. You'd be hard pressed to kind of top that or picture any other music to go with this film. It's a standout. The cinematography, paired with the fact that they are on location, is so good. It adds so much more depth to this film. You're not working on a green screen soundstage like they do in, you know, modern day. You know, you're not going to get people, you know, crawling through the forest in this day and age. They'd probably point blank refuse and say they're going to get some dirt under their nails. That nonsense. It's really where this film shines. It's just that everyone was on set, on location, having a really hard time of it. It was grueling, it was brutal heat, but they all had fun. And they all wanted to make this film work, and they did, and it just stands out. But also, the film is just so simple. The story is incredibly simple. The screenwriters and the director, they don't baby you as an audience. They don't say, oh, well, the Predator's cloaked, it must be working on some kind of refraction technology. There's not some weird scientist that has to tell you this information. You get it. You understand what's going on. You know that when the Predator heals himself, that he's healing himself. You don't need someone to say, oh, he must be healing himself, he must have ran off to heal himself. There was a really clear shift in cinema where directors and screenwriters began to baby the audience. They give you the information, then they tell you what the information is that they're giving you. Whereas this film did not do that remotely. And that's to its credit. It's really, really good because of it. There are little snippets of information which we learn, from Dutch, where he says, he didn't kill you because you weren't a threat, you didn't have a gun, so drop it, kind of thing. And, it's important to get these tiny little bits of information because it kind of robusts the film together. So I wanted to do this review for a really, really long time, but I couldn't really think of how to kind of construct it. So I know this review's kind of been a bit ramshackled together, but I hope you did enjoy it. I hope we can kind of talk in the comment section. I hope you can share why you love this film so much. And of course, the things that you didn't like about it, which, to be fair, I don't think there's that many. And I seldom say that about any movie. I really do. I don't think that there's much about this film that you can really dislike. It holds up to modern day standards. It really, really does, especially in just how it's structured together. It absolutely holds up. So guys, let me know your thoughts down below in the comment section. Let me know if you love this movie. Let me know where you first came across it as well. Because for me, this film has a special place in my heart, like I said, because it was my first introduction to Arnold Schwarzenegger as an actor. It was my first introduction to the Alien and Predator universe. I watched Aliens after it. So for me, it opened up a whole new world of kind of sci-fi and horror genre. So let me know, let's share some stories in the comment section. If you're new to the channel, please do hit that subscribe button. Stay tuned for more in the world of pop culture and movie news. And as always, guys, I've been Mr. H, and I'll catch you in the next video.